Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 18th, 2021 at approximately 1:45 p.m. PST. Have you ever had one of those days when you thought you had everything sorted out and ready to go properly, and then right from the get-go, you planned it out the day before, you get up in the morning, and right from the get-go, the day goes sideways? Well, that's the kind of day I've been having. Had everything laid out. I knew exactly what I was up to. Got up this morning. Woke up at, 2 o'clock in the morning. That wasn't a good idea, so went back to bed. Managed to sleep until 4. And then got sidetracked right off the bat. So everything went off rail. So I ended up managing to go for my walk this morning. Right? But went for too long of a walk, came home, ended up passing out. So I get for pushing my limits too far sometimes. In any event, the office has basically, right now, it looks like a tornado hit it. But here's the reality behind it. People have setbacks. You've had setbacks. You've put projects on hold often. Okay, sometimes for years at a time. If you're anything like me, you really did. Now, got everything moving in the right direction, what I thought was the right direction, and even when I started to do the recording today, even that took me 4 times to get it off the block. So, understanding this is a live recording, meaning when I get done, I double check, make sure I got the date, make sure I got the date correct, and then it goes right to video. I post it right off the bat with no editing at all. Which means you get the hiccups, you get the double backs, you get the stumbles, and yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, it's a little scattered. But the way it works in the long run is this. You get back on the horse, and you start all over again, if you have to. Now, the reality is you never start all over again. This is where numerology goes sideways. Because in basic numerology, they tell you that there are multiple letters that have the same value of 1. Well, the reality is, in any alphabet, there's only one letter that begins it. Therefore, from my understanding, only one letter can have the value of 1. Everything else is built onto it. Even when you stumble and you fall, you're still building on what you did. You cannot undo the fact that you started already. You can't undo the fact that you stumbled and fell. You simply pick up and learn from your mistakes with any kind of luck. Now, I've talked to a lot of millionaires that have told me the same thing. Making the first million is the hard part. Making the second is easier, and every subsequent after that is easier. Every subsequent one. Okay, now this applies to everything. Doesn't matter. Once you've done it, you have, whether you've made mistakes or whether you got it right the first time, you have learned from what you've done. At least this would be the theory. I question that on occasion. But what I'm faced with right now is, and that's where this funny little list comes in. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they flat out told me they didn't know where to begin. Well, here's where you begin. Whoop. Still haven't got my left hand working properly, so I improvise on this side. No, I won't. I'll turn back this way so I'm not turning my back here that much. Okay, first thing I have to get done when I'm done here is get my office desk sorted out. Okay, now, of course, I've got another neat little sidetrack here because in approximately 2.5 hours, I've got my gaming day. And that is something that even when I had my major stroke 2 years ago, December 28th of 2018, I had a major stroke. Well, they called it a minor one. I figure I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk. It's pretty serious. In any event, at that point, when I got into the hospital on December 28th, now I forget what day of the week it was, but I remember the date quite well. Because for the last 15, 20 years, every New Year's Eve, I've been gaming. And I told myself when I got in there, I'm not going to be in the hospital on the 31st of December. I'm just not going to be there. Right? Well, the doctors didn't believe me. I made certain I was mobile enough and coherent enough to get out of the hospital so I could attend my game. And when I talk about being a diehard gamer, really that's about the epitome of it when you think about it. Okay, I had a gaming session I was going to be at, and even a major stroke, or a minor one, a stroke that put me in the hospital via ambulance, wouldn't stop me. Now, you can call that what you will. I know alcoholics that do the same thing, right? No matter what they're going through, they will have their drink. I know one in particular that told me quite literally the only reason he quit drinking and doing drugs was because the nurses at the extended care facility wouldn't go and get him for him. Okay. So when you're looking at where to start, take a look at what you've been through. Okay, take a look at where you're standing right now. Pick one thing that you're not content with. That's the first thing you target. You do not, and we're not talking about eliminating it. We're talking about altering the energy. Okay, shifting the direction the energy is going. Just like you cannot stop water. You can try. I mean, think about it. Even with the Ice Age, the glaciers still moved, albeit a whole lot slower, but they did move. Okay. Well, the same thing goes with energy. It doesn't stop. You can redirect it, you can guide it where you desire it, but you're not going to stop it. So you take the negative energy that you've got going around you, the negative things in your life, and you start modifying the way they work. You start that with, guess where? Right here, right now, wherever you're standing, wherever you're looking at this is when you change it. Because right here, right now is the only time in your life you can ever change anything. You can talk about what you should have done. You can talk about what you would like to do, but you can't make any of it happen until you get to that time. And of course, the things you would have liked to have done, you're not going to do them in the time frame you were hoping in more cases than not. Primarily, if you said, I'm going to attain this goal by the time I'm 30 and you're now 31, you can still attain the goal, but you'll never do it by the time you're 30. Okay. So, from my standpoint, the day went sideways completely. As soon as I get done here and done this today, I'll post this, and then I'll go to work on the rest of it. Now, here's the thing. Okay. I sent in there's a lot of different projects I've been working on. And before I get any further into it, something I really have to say, desire to say anyway, is I returned to this life for one reason. Okay, one primary reason. And that was to pass on a simple message. That message being that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now, my desire is to get the message to everybody in existence. And I'm not just talking about humans. Okay, the animals, the plants, the minerals, the elements, the other races, all of these things are connected. You don't have to believe me. This is what I'm operating with. Okay, and for those of you that have this wonderful thought of, why should we believe what you say? Well, I can't give you an answer to that. All I can do, the only thing I can tell you is I believe what I say. That's all I can tell you. And can I prove it? No. Not really. I mean, we can technically look at the consistency side of things and go, this is the same thing I've been telling people for years. Okay. Now, some people have asked some interesting questions over the years. Who do you think you are that we should listen to you? Or, do you think you're so-and-so? What makes you think we should believe you're so-and-so? And the only answer I can give you is what I think isn't the relevant question. Who I think I am is not the relevant question. Who you think I am, and whether or not you think I've got something going in the right direction. That's what matters. And ask yourself this. Okay, I only follow 3 laws. But if you look at every law you'll find, in my understanding and from my experience, you'll find they all fit inside these 3. Be true to yourself, first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, if you follow those thinking patterns, then you will find that things work out very nicely for you. Okay. At least I found they work out really nicely for me. Am I being true to myself? As near as I can figure, yeah. The only thing I'm doing that I'm really working hard to avoid doing is telling people what I really think. I mean, it was amazing. I've had people ask me after only a few days, right? It goes a little backwards. Okay, because I've had people ask me point blank if I felt something about them within only a couple of days. And I'm not a diplomat. Okay, I'm really not a diplomat. Like I told the one person on the radio one day. The guy asked, I was on a radio show. As a matter of fact, I was on spacedoutradio.com, which I'm on the first Friday of every month from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. I've been there for just over 6 years now. Okay, and I answer questions directly on air regarding aliens, UFOs, abduction situations, alien technology. Somebody in the air, somebody in the chat room, come right out and ask me. He goes, "Why should I believe what you say?" And I was not thinking in terms of political correctness or the way I should have put things. And I turned around and I looked at the camera and I says, "What makes you think I care whether or not you believe what I say?" The reality is, do I care? I care about one thing. Okay, one primary thing. There's a lot of people that do matter to me, don't get me wrong. But the thing that I am most concerned with is the way that people are treating this planet. And part of treating this planet properly is treating each other properly, because, like it or not, modern human scientists have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you can test this one yourself. Again, don't take my word for it. But negative energy has a negative impact on plants. It has a negative impact on animals. It has a negative impact on people. Now, if people continue fighting with each other and doing absolutely bizarre things and claiming they care, okay, what you're doing, okay, is you're hurting everyone around you. You're not throwing a physical punch, no, but I can tell you as an empath that when people do that, it hurts. Okay, and that can have some negative consequences all around the place. So I was asked why the guy should believe me. I said, I don't really care whether you do, and I really don't, because the reality is, as long as I have a couple of things going for me, okay, as long as the people that are licensed to say whether or not I'm insane or whether or not I'm a danger to other people, and they're in agreement that I'm not a problem, that keeps me out of any sort of a lockup. And I don't relish the idea of doing the vertical bar scene. Okay, am I reclusive? You bet. Okay, do I let very many people close to me? No, not a prayer. Okay, probably on two hands, I can probably tell you the people I let close to me. Okay, I'm not going to, but I could. Okay, but that's less than a dozen people that I will let close. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Now, of course, I'm telling you that, and you may be going, well, if you're that disconnected from people, why would we pay attention? I can't give you an answer, but I can tell you, following the path that society has been following has been done multiple times before, and every time it's gone down this road, people have ended up with the same thing: society coming to a grinding halt. Now, of course, I got up in the morning, and like I said, my walk went sideways. I was supposed to get some more work done. I did manage to get a couple of things done. Okay, the artist that I've got that is working on that is working on the races of the world. Some of you have this. There is a new copy coming out, and sometime Well, it really boils down to, by the time I get the pictures finished. Okay, by the time I get the pictures on that finished, let's see, if I'm doing 5 every 2 weeks, it's probably going to be close to 6 months. But here's the thing. If you already have a copy of this book, make absolutely certain that you get your address to me. Okay. I will compare it to my notes. Okay, so if people are going, I've got a copy and I don't have record on my notes, we're going to run into a bit of a snag, but we'll figure that out. If you've actually got a copy of Races of the Worlds, make sure you get your address, your physical mailing address to me, because when this book comes out, when I get this one redone, the second printing will be complete. It will have the same information on it, okay, but it will also have the pictures. And the people that have already bought this book, I'm going to be sending you an extra copy, a copy with the pictures that you're not paying a thing for. Okay, now that's just me. Is this something that most authors do? Not a prayer. Okay, this one is very much a special case. Okay, but I'm not exactly what you would consider normal in the way I look at things. Okay, I did get off the next 5. The next 5, because I send the pictures off 5 at a time. And then once they're paid for, once I've got the clearance to deal with them, then I send the next 5 off. And I think I'm halfway through. Yeah, so we're looking at probably 5 to 6 months before I get finished. Okay, before I have all the pictures in from Races of the Worlds. Okay, and then I'll see what happens there. Now, something to understand about the Races of the Worlds. That is a reference manual. Okay, it's got the data on it. But many of the races involved in Races of the Worlds are actually dealt with in the Yldrbacian Chronicles at the same time. But then you start looking at personalities, speech patterns, tendencies, that sort of thing. Okay. And the sequel to The Birth of the Wolfpack is coming out early next year. We're just about done with it now. I think I've got 40 pages of final editing to do. And then it's ready to go to print. Okay, so we're a little ahead of schedule, but then we've had a really good couple of months where we've been able to make headway. We being the person that's helping me with the proofreading has been working in and out of hours of work at a time. Okay, to actually get this done before the end of the year. And it just so happens it's worked out really well. What am I running into? Oh, I don't like that. So, that's first and foremost. Okay, now, everything that I'm doing at this point is really focusing a lot on making things happen in that fashion. Now, as soon as I'm done this video, okay, I will start clearing off this desk and get it down to right, because the whole place looks like it. I just ended up turning the thing upside down with a Mixmaster. Or a fan, one of the two, I'm not sure which. It's funny, I go through these periods, and I'm sure you do as well. You get this idea, this is what I'd like to get accomplished today, and it just doesn't work that way. So you sit there going, well, now I'm having trouble getting motivated. For me, it's become relatively a normal thing. You get a little bit of hiccup, and all of a sudden you go, this isn't working for me. I've got to push my limits. And what is that book? Oh, it's a binder. Sitting on top of my filing cabinet. Like I said, everything went sideways. So, in all fairness, that what you see on top of the filing cabinet is only a tiny example of what my desk looks like right now, which is not making me happy. But I know who's responsible. I'm the only one that can be responsible since I'm the only one here. And something you've got to keep in mind. Okay, take a look in the mirror. When you're having complications, if you're having constant complications with people on a regular basis, odds are that you're a lot of the problem. I thought growing up that people had shunned me until I ended up writing what I call a channeled autobiography. There's a long story behind that, and it hasn't gone to print yet. I mean, I've got a couple of copies here, but it hasn't gone to print just yet. Okay, it will be in time. At least that would be the theory. Whether I ever put it on Amazon is highly improbable, but not unheard of. It's just I've got a lot of other books that I do desire to get put up on by Author House. So I will start to go through all of that, and I've got a number of things already set up to go. And that one I don't think I know why I did that. So we shrink that out of existence so I don't have to deal with it. I've got the books I'm working on, various different. There's a neat little item I found an address for. There's a funny little a funny little zip drive you can buy for sorting out photographs. Now I don't know whether it works. I'm certainly not paid for them. That's why I'm not giving anybody names on it. But I found one. I'm going to be buying it because I'm hoping it'll do what I desire it to. If it doesn't, it wipes out a whole bunch of pictures that I can't look at anyway. So it's not a real big deal on that end. Okay, from that standpoint, very necessary to take a look at the way your life is going and ask yourself, are you content with the way your life is going? If you're not content with it, then it's time to change it. Now, of course, this ring here, that's the one I got from my brother. Okay. Now, I say I got it from my brother. In all fairness, I ended up burying my brother in order to get it, because it was part of the estate. This one, on the other hand, is an absolutely fantastic little rendition. This is a replica. Obviously, it's not the real one, but this is a replica of the one ring that binds them all from The Lord of the Rings and from The Hobbit. Okay, I was just given this one a little early, but I was just given it for Christmas. Now, the ironic part of that is this ring was bought with the idea of hanging around my neck on this little chain here. Okay. Now, this chain is what I was supposed to be putting the ring on. But as bizarre as it sounds, that ring actually fits. So, it sits on, and then the one my brother gave me, right, sits on and holds all of it in place. But I can still use my hand perfectly well, which means guess where that sits? The chain, on the other hand, gets used as well, because this chain is just big enough that I can pull it up over my head without actually unclasping it. Because one of the things I lost when I had my stroke is I don't have the fine motor skills in my left hand anymore. So operating the clasp to take the chain off, I couldn't do. Okay. But if you stop doing what you were aiming at, take a serious look at it and get back on the saddle. Okay, do your best not to let anybody tell you that you cannot accomplish things. That you're either too old to do it, or you didn't do it well enough for it to be put into print, or it's a terrible painting and it'll never sell. I'll tell you, if you think about it, I have seen things printed, like put in print. Okay. And, I've made my mistakes. Okay. But I've seen people put things in print, and I'm looking at it going, how could you possibly put that in print? One that stands out to me is I was driving down the road a couple of years back, and I saw a reader board. Okay. And I honestly forget what it said on the reader board. Okay, but I remember the gist of it. It was a motel, and they had written something on the reader board that was just absolutely, blatantly, it was wrong. Well, it was a very bad spelling mistake, at least to my way of thinking. And like I said, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was so blatant that I got off the road and went into the hotel. Okay, I pulled into the hotel and I said, look, guys, I was driving by and I saw this on the reader board. And I have no idea what it said. But I says, at the time, I says, there is a very serious spelling mistake out there that I don't know if you guys missed it or what. But it's a blatant mistake, right? And I thought you should know. Well, the manager happened me on, and he looks and it was him I was talking to, and he goes, oh, I knew about it. He said, I knew that we had put the spelling mistake up. But I figured that it would get people's attention. He says, so I'm not changing it. So I looked at him and I says, well done. It got my attention. But what it told me was you're so incompetent and so uncaring about your company, I'll never stay there. Okay, that's what it told me. Now, that's not what it tells everybody else. Now, I've said things about how I'm disappointed with the way the church is doing things. But this next part happened with a church. Same idea, they had a spelling mistake, but it was funny. What the saying on the reader board outside the church was God doesn't have all the answers. Or sorry, said Google doesn't have all the answers. Right? But they had put the apostrophe on doesn't right in the wrong place. So I went in and I was in a good mood. I just pulled in. I says, you've got a problem. I says, I'm reading your reader board and it says there Google doesn't have all the answers. Right? Which I agree with. But at least Google can spell. And I explained, you put the apostrophe in the wrong place and doesn't. In the word doesn't. Well, the girl at the front of the church, right, the secretary that was there, because it was off hours, she was out the door before I finished to go and change the sign. Now, that's the attention to detail that tells you people care about the business they've got. If you're running a business, make sure your spelling is right. Now, there's this wonderful little thing running around the internet showing that, you don't have to have all the letters in the right order. You just have to have the first and last one. Well, I got thinking about it, and that is, in all fairness, likely true. But if you can't spell in the first place, you're still not going to be able to read it. Your spelling, your reading, your basic math, these are skills that are absolutely imperative. Okay, everything else you can learn, you can work around. But those three are imperative. And I will tell you, because I'm a gamer, okay, there's a really neat situation here where I've seen people that cannot spell, can't do mathematics, get into gaming, and because of the environment in which you're gaming, and the types of people that you end up running into, which are usually very high and very, very intellectual, very creative, and very diverse. You learn a lot of things. And in some people's cases, that's all that's required to get their mathematics and their reading up. And it's absolutely fantastic. So this is just one of those things that I keep looking at. And yeah, my brain goes all over the place. But now that I'm on track with what I was aiming at, and quite frankly, we're down to the last couple of minutes here, so I'm just going to tie this off. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel, because one of my big goals, in all fairness, if you can give me a hand and spread this message out to everybody you know. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. Now, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.